Everyone eats out, but people often miss how the food arrives on their plate. Every meal has a story of growers, suppliers, founders, and operators making it all happen. Welcome to Grounded. I'm Lauren Mitchell, and each week I will bring you conversations with the amazing people behind the brands you know and the ones you'll want to know. Grounded is powered by the Buyer's Edge platform, the leading food service digital procurement network, powered by data, software, and collaborative relationships. Let's get grounded. Today's guest, I just cannot wait to speak with. She's an award-winning executive, powerhouse hospitality leader, and respected Food Tech Council member. Recognized among the top 30 in tech and twice honored as one of the top 30 women in food. With over 30 years of experience at the intersection of restaurant operations and tech innovation, she's been with brands from Sweet Green to Red Robin, California Pizza Kitchen, and currently Barcelona Wine Bar. The founding voice behind the LEAD program, we'll get into that, so awesome, and the Chief Operating Officer at Barcelona Wine Bar. Amy Holm, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me, and I need to hire you as my PR agent.
You really are impressive. First of all, I've had just anticipating for a conversation. It's a great time learning about you and your background. Today's your birthday, so there's an extra magic to this conversation. Happy birthday.
Thank you, and to you, as yours is coming up also.
Yes, yeah. Birthdays are so fun. You get to hear from everyone in your life, professional and personal. It's such a fun day. Are you feeling the love today?
I am feeling the love. I have lots of great people around me, that's for sure.
And how are you going to celebrate today?
Family, friends, gonna head down and hang out in Palm Springs a little bit, although it's like 200 degrees, but you know, it's all in what you make of it.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. So why don't we just first cover leadership? You give back so much of your time. I mean, we'll get into some of the brands that you have experience with and some more of the operational focused questions, but really just understanding from a leadership standpoint, what principle has had the biggest impact on the way your business has found success or your career has found success?
I think most of us humans never want anyone, at least the good humans, never want anyone to feel as low as we felt in our life or where you've had a moment in your career. And we've started the nonprofit lead, like you mentioned before, mentor others. How do we bring people along? A lot of people have helped me throughout my career for sure. And so giving back is important to me. And I think it is for a lot of others in the industry, especially in the restaurant and hospitality space. So my principle is if I can help people along or just be a snippet along their journey that could help them out, it's important to me just for my values as well.
Servant leadership, certainly. Where did this come from? Is this something that's connected back to early experience in your career and how you were working up through the ranks, or where did this passion develop from?
Yeah, I started off as an hourly employee, like so many of us in the industry have. And if I did not have great GMs, great regional directors, great mentors, I have a lot of mentors now. One stands out as Karen Stutz, who those that know me know that I call her 4 or 5 times a day. And so if I can be somebody that helps them in the way that a lot of others have helped me, I think that is part of our job in life as a parent, as a human, even. So whether it's you're helping out in your community, or you're helping out in a work relationship, or helping someone with their career, all of those things are important. We're people first. We're in the people industry. Almost any industry you're in the people industry because those are the ones that kind of make your business and your concept work.
How about this? I've heard you say that you champion being easy on people, tough on standards. How do you keep a balance of that across your operation and all your locations?
You have to care about people and what their day's looking like. If someone's got something going on personally, getting married, having someone pass away, all these things that happen in our lives that are milestones. Also, every day, checking in on them. So we have something called heart checks. I know some folks still do it at Sweet Green. They reach out and we do it at Barcelona Wine Bar. And it's just, how are you doing on a scale from 1 to 5? 5 being your best day ever, 4 being, better, but not you're okay, you're hanging in there. 1 and 2 is when I hang up the phone if somebody gives me that answer, and I'll follow up and see what's going on. Sometimes it's something that I can help. Sometimes they just need the ear to listen to, and sometimes they're just going through a really hard time in their life, and we need to make sure we're supporting them through that. So we have the heart checks. That's the easy on people part. The tough on standards is making sure that you're setting really great standards and expectations for your team, and they have clarity in what they need to hit. What are those targets? What is what does operational excellence look like? What is winning? How do we celebrate that? And so that's the other half of it. So you do have to be an A player to play on the team. You got to be able to bring results. That's kind of what your job is and you're paid to do. But at the same time, we have to treat them as humans first and make sure they're in a good headspace to execute.
It's so fun talking to brands that, really understand that being in hospitality is two pronged. I mean, it's understanding how to take care of the people that work within your restaurant so that they can take care of those walking into the restaurant. And there's so many projects that brands have. One in particular is a fund that they pretty much raise year round through their supplier vendor partners and also internally that goes towards the employees. So if something were to ever happen to one of the employees or someone that's close to them, to relieve the stress of them having to figure out how to take care of it, the fund pulls to support them. And I just love programs that give back. Anything like that you've been in touch with from either the brands that you've previously been a part of or currently?
Every brand I've been with has started that in the last 5 to 10 years. So, they had one at Sweetgreen, we had one at Red Robin, we have one called Be Love, where the team members can reach out. We do have suppliers that help with that. We have our team members that can donate money. And it's needed in the world that we're living in. And so if somebody's got something personal going on or catastrophe or something we can do to support, yeah, everybody pulls together. It's a beautiful thing that I think a lot of organizations are doing.
So fantastic. I also hear that you've really improved turnover, specifically at Barcelona. I believe it was 30% reduction. How did you do that?
I didn't do that. The team does that. I think we implemented a few systems. We're very big on development plan and giving people specific things that they need to do personally to either be a better leader or interest in where they want to go. Sometimes it has nothing to do with work. Sometimes for them to show up as a better leader at work, they haven't hit the gym in a while. So we make sure that we're following up and being good accountability partners. But every leader for us should have a development plan and has one. And there's specific goals in there. There's SMART goals, nothing new there. We have SMART goals, but one of the number one reasons why leaders and why folks are leaving restaurant organizations and most any organization at this point is they're not being developed. No one's investing their time. So they get an hour every 30 days. They sit down with their development plan, where they left off, what they need to dig into, and they have those conversations. It starts with a hard check and in the middle is that gushy, what do we need to work on? What are your goals? And where are we at? Did we hit some and following up from prior and sending some new ones, or those other ones are ongoing? And lastly, at the end, I think is one of the most important parts, which is your supervisor is giving you feedback. But the flip is that employee or team member, they have to give you feedback at the end as well. So you're getting feedback as a supervisor and clearing the air. Because, I'm a big 5 dysfunctions of a team person. Favorite book, the team hears me talk about it all the time. It's got the triangle, and the base of it is trust. And if we really do invest in our team and they know that we've got their back and we're really, really driving their development and where they want to go in their career, it shows that trust. And then you get the healthy conflict. They can give you great feedback and all the things, and you get great results. So the turnovers definitely gotten a lot better. People are staying. And of course, that tenure gives us a lot more when it comes to results.
Oh, I love that. Absolutely. Listening to the feedback and how the leadership is taking it as well. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll take a turn here into technology and innovation. Your Barcelona Wine Bar is focused on more of that human first ambiance. And you specifically have pioneered a lot of just tech and that behind the scenes. Can you talk about how to balance seamless technology, but also just more of that human in-person experience in the restaurant space? And maybe that's separated from front of house to back of house, but any technology updates or innovations that you can share that hasn't taken away from the guest experience?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of a good two-part question. One is, I'll kick off with, yes, I have some councils I sit on or boards I sit on where that organization, whether it's Lunchbox or another tech spot on these other folks in the industry that are building their tech brands and their concepts, but also the tools. They ask the end user. So as an end user, they're bringing you into the room and getting the information they need to make their product better. Spot On's been great about that. And also Lunchbox and some of these others. But as that happens, you're helping on advise on what tools the teams need. On the flip side, that the stuff that we use at Barcelona, that second part of the question is we only do things or will only bring anything into the organization if it enhances the guest experience behind the scenes. There's a lot of concepts, QSR. I sit on some of those boards and concepts, and they do need those tech-faced products to drive their business, drive their sales. Guests like to come in for a QSR, place their order. It goes pretty quickly. They get in and out. It goes back to the kitchen. They can make their food. In our concept, we are very much hospitality driven through the human element. So we do have handhelds to get the orders into the kitchen faster, right? KDS systems, all those things that are behind the scenes, but the intent has to be to enhance the human experience. So we don't allow pay at the table. It's really good for some concepts. We wanna make sure we can say bye and invite somebody back and make sure we didn't miss anything. So, listen, tech is all over the place, AI also is all over the place. Different concepts are using them in different ways. But what I do like a lot more in the hospitality space is the tech companies that are building these products are bringing some end users in to help build the business.
How about looking back from when you started in your career uh, to where you're at currently? What do you believe to be the greatest improvement within supply chain or operations?
The people, I think there are many organizations out there that are more intentional with recruiting the right people for the business. I also know that since, some things have happened in the world, there's stuff going on now, right? There's some heavy stuff. There's stuff, COVID, that, has been heavy since a little bit that I think a lot of folks are trying to still figure out. But the 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 impact on that and how we recruit, how we take care of things, how we utilize technology, I think it's thought of much differently and much more with intention. And so um, that's a loaded question because that could go on for hours on how we recruit, right? I mean, we use technology where we didn't years ago when I was in the industry, dropped off an application. Now, in the QSR space, you had to be the fastest to figure out how to text back quickly, or else they go to another concept. Uh, After COVID, it was the for the employee world and the team member world. Now it's kind of shifting back a little bit, but we have to be careful with that and how we still recruit, for example. That's just one of the topics. Um, and how we take care of our team because people use Glassdoor now. There's a lot more reviews now. When I was growing up in the industry, there was no Yelp, there was no Google. And so it is very different navigating the waters and adapting all of that and making sure that you're using the right tools to benchmark your organization. It's a totally different world. So yeah, that's a loaded question because there's so much that's changed since I've been around. And so you got to adapt and you got to definitely be a learner in this space and make sure you're listening and learning all the things that are going on to make sure your business is staying savvy.
I love that your answer touched on the people, though. I mean, typically when people think of improvement, they answer towards the visibility into their supply chain and the inputs, which I think we can all agree as well. But the fact that you can, mine all that, just the way that you articulated, understanding how people are getting to the restaurant or the hiring process, and then understanding and being able to work with them as humans first. I love that answer.
Yeah, and supply chain, look, like supply chain's a whole nother ball game too. I think every facet of the business has is just changed. You're dealing with supply. I mean, we deal with farmers, we deal with local folks. You work with larger organizations. They're not as local. They're more with the Cisco's and all the other large supply chains. But it still has evolved. And it's still, at the end of the day, a relationship, I believe it's a relationship based supply chain world out there. And sometimes you got to scratch their back, they scratch yours, but it is a give and take. And it's negotiating. It's all the things. I mean, supply chain recruiting, it's every facility is even, I mean, look what's going on in the facility world. It's hard to get vendors now. And 20 years ago, you could call 10 electricians who had a lot of pride in their work and would show up. And now the world's changed where there's not that many people. They all went into the IT world or into these other functions. And so now whoever's going to pick up those trades, man, they can charge a hot penny because that's what's happening to a lot of us in the space.
How would you say that consumer expectations have differed? So in terms of just what the guests want when they come in, what would you say would be the biggest change, and how do you interpret that, even just for Barcelona Wine Bar? What is it that um, you know, they are wanting that is influencing how you're running your operation?
Most concepts, the guests expect immediate gratification. The generation of the we need it now, we want it now is here because of social media, how they can order things on Amazon and get it the next day. We've created this monster of I should be able to have it right in front of me the minute you place an order.
Mm.
So everyone I think grapples with that. At Barcelona, we have created menu items and we're tapas. So what's great about that is you go to a steakhouse, you may have to wait. The kitchen gets by and you're waiting 20, 30, sometimes an hour for your food. We're tapas. Our chefs have done an amazing job. Adam Halberg's done an amazing job creating the concept of the Andy, but they get tapas and they come out pretty fast. So that instant gratification that is out in the world now, we can feed into that, and we do a good job with that. There are some items that take a little bit longer, our entrees on our menu, but we let the guests know, like, sit down and have some wine. People usually that come into Barcelona are not in a rush unless they're going to a show and we're like in a theater district down in Pittsburgh and something's going on. But usually it's come to hang out after they've had a long week or they just want to come and get some good energy and feel better. But a lot of the companies though really do have to drive that instant gratification.
Yeah, yeah. No, I've that's a really cool call out, instant gratification. How about the new items? So what is it that you guys have set up in terms of determining what constitutes a new item, and where are you receiving that feedback? Is it from the guests? Is it from industry trends? How often are they cycling through your menu? And if you don't mind sharing a little bit about the relationship between supply chain and, let's say, culinary side of the business.
Well, we are definitely a unicorn. About 30% of our menu are core items throughout the organization, but the other 70%, the chefs control. One of the things that is genius about Barcelona is that if a commodity price is high, we just don't do it. We're not stuck like a Red Robin. We'd get beef commodity pricing and we'd get on the phone and we're like, okay, we got to figure out how we're going to do this. We have to elevate pricing. What do we need to do? Put more chicken on the menu. Like it was just always navigating through that. And in Barcelona, it's, hey, this is high right now or we can't get it. And the chef comes up with this creative other option or options to put on the menu. And the guest doesn't know. The guest knows. We inform the guest that our menu changes constantly. And so what's cool about that is you may come in our restaurant and get something, but you may get something else the next week or the next day. But our core items are the same. So croquetas or tortilla or all these other options that we have everywhere. But again, it's only 30%. So, and the supply chain, we've got an amazing and talented supply chain that works with very, very closely with specified vendors. So our jamon comes from Spain. We've been working with them for years. Our olive oil is a crazy story. We take the chefs, they're about ready to go in a week over to Spain, and they plant the olive oil trees. So we do our own thing, and then the supply chain team makes sure our olive oil is fresh and comes to the States from Spain. But we've been working with those families. Again, it goes down to relationships that were created many, many moons ago. And so we support them. So when times get tough, they're there for us. We're there for them. But our supply chain is very tight that way. We're small, medium, but we're mighty. It's very, very kind of cool what we do. Again, we're very much a unicorn.
Yeah, it's very nimble. I love that. And how many different states are you in right now?
Ooh, that's a good question. I actually have never counted. I have to go onto the website. Maybe about 10, 15 maybe. We've got another concept called Corsica Wine Bar. They took the team to study in Corsica on the island, so we opened them in Denver, and then we've got a second one we're opening in Reston, Virginia in about a month, and then we have opening for Barcelona Wine Bar in Delray Beach in Florida that's upcoming. So we get there, but we don't do the whole enro pressure. Let's do it a number. We are very, very if the community is right for us, if it feels right, if we're a good fit, we're not around for a couple of years. We end up staying for many, many moons. I mean, in Connecticut, some of the restaurants have 3 generations that are in them now when I go visit them. And, the grandpa's in there with the dad and the graduating class, this year. So it's really kind of cool to watch. And they become part of the family.
And so are they 100% corporately owned, or do you guys have franchisees?
We do not franchise. Very, very protective over the brand. Not saying that will never happen, but not anytime soon. And we're privately owned. Yeah, we've got some investors and we're PE backed. We've got some of that going on, but nothing. We have a great board and great investors. So
Any plans to go international or just stay strictly in the US?
as of now, we're hanging here. Again, you never know. But I think our concept would go well everywhere. To be honest, everyone loves wine. Everybody loves tapas. They love to have a good time. We throw a great party every night in every location. Team loves us. Very low turnover on the hourly staff as well. They come in for the party to feel connected. But as of now, no, not in the immediate future, but never say never. The world's a little crazy beyond what's going on in our restaurants right now. So we'll hang tight.
Yes, absolutely. All right. How about back to your current role in operations? I know that in previous life you you supported supply chain internationally, correct? Or growth internationally?
Yes, Reef Technology. We did vessels. This is a very interesting startup. We did vessels where we had 6 to 8 brands in a 300 square foot box. Worked really well during COVID. We did bar sales, liquor sales, medical supplies. We were dealing with a lot of robotics. You can see the robots running around Miami down in Brickell. But yeah, we were in the UK, London, we were in Dubai, Saudi. We were in a lot of different spots.
That is so fascinating. Did you get to travel over there and kind of understand more about how supply chain works within different countries over there? I know you're more on the technology side, but any learnings from that?
That was mostly I was running the ops side of it and how the last mile, and for those that know kind of that verbiage with, Amazon and those, we were running that water tanks. So it was very operational driven, staffing in different countries. So most of it was done virtual. And we did do supply chain from the Miami office. So, yeah, listen, every country, just like every city here, runs a little bit differently overall. And, a lot of there weren't as many, as you probably know, not as many restrictions in other countries as we have here when it comes to supply chain. I would say that's probably my biggest learning from that.
Yeah, it's amazing when you start setting up supply chains across the Atlantic, just how fragmented it is. And also fascinating just in terms of once you learned all the different growing regions. But yeah, their system is very much more regional and localized.
And simplified.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Not as tough as what we do to ourselves sometimes.
Yes. Okay, I'm biased because I'm in fresh produce distribution, and I'm just curious from all of your experience or current, what do you think is the most overlooked principle, specifically in distribution or produce procurement?
It's going to sound like a repeating record, but I would say the relationship building piece. I've worked with some great supply chain folks that will go above and beyond when you're in a pickle. And I worked for some that are like, we're closed today. We'll get back to you Monday when we reopen. And sometimes your business really needs that. And That's probably the biggest piece. I also think people need to put themselves on the supply side and understand what they're going through, because the margins are also very small. Most of the time when the supply chain or the companies are trying to manage their business as well. So it's, it all goes down to that, and calling last minute. I mean, we've all been there. We've all been there a lot, especially during COVID, where we were having to do a lot of cold calling and pick up ourselves because there were no more drivers, right? So, but the pricing sometimes, I think it's okay to pay some of the pricing at times, because you got to be a good partner, and renewing the contract, all the things. So, it's a relationship and a partnership. And I think a lot of times people hide behind the email, hide behind the cameras, and don't pick up the phone as much as we should to build those, so that you can work together to make both businesses successful. I do think it's becoming a little bit of a lost art.
Pick up the phone. When I ran this show about a year ago, I asked a lot of questions in relation to pre and post COVID, and I got to hear so many amazing stories of how supplier partners supported the brand through COVID. I mean, truly superhero stories, either about flex storage abilities and all of that. It's one of my favorite questions. So, but I love your answer. I think relationships, in every business is important, but specifically with suppliers in this one.
Yeah, going out and having coffee these days, you can't say you're too busy. I mean, you have to make those things happen. So, yeah.
And you never know what you're going to learn as a result of that, right?
No, and sometimes there's even more, positive impact when you do that, because something does come up in a conversation that you may not know that they do, or that they can help you with, vice versa. And so it's whether you're having a conference for your GMs and they have some like there's so many things. It's all these little things that make up the big picture for the team. So, yeah. And what I love is a lot of the general managers or managers in the business, they know the supply chain reps better sometimes than some of us do. And it just goes to show, it really does go back to, you know, it goes back to the relationship and the trust.
All right, I'm gonna finish off here, going back to lead, and really, we can all relate to the idea that experiences are kind of where we develop our learnings. And any of us that are in the career at this point, we've been in college a couple decades ago, and understand, there's really no instruction manual for certain positions, and that especially is true as you get into leadership roles. You're deeply involved in mentorship. I think this is an important way that we can all learn as we grow and age and find ourselves in new roles in different companies. Can you talk about LEAD and, what it's there for, who it supports, and, all of the fun stuff?
Absolutely. And we actually just had some suppliers reach out to see if they could attend. So we have a nonprofit. It's under the Glean Network. Our branch is Lead Leadership Exploration and Development. We do pretty funny stuff. So at NRA, we run like a sizzle and spin, and a lot of people come and donate money. That's just an hour spin class. And then we added Yazzle and yoga in there. And, we raised about $25,000 on an hour, and just had fun, and really good people in the hospitality wanting to help out the folks that is intended for. Yeah. Which is, it's a man, we try to support emerging leaders. So, there are more mom and pop nows than there are these large chains. They've also cut back on development. And so we throw events. Our next one's July 9th and in Dallas. And we throw events so that you get access to C-suite from all different brands. And we max it out at 100. So it's kind of intimate. And we have people that are speaking, like Emily Williams-Knight's coming, CEO of Texas Restaurant Association. She's been an award-winning CEO. Greg Majewski is one of our biggest sponsors, speaks at all the events. They pay their way. They give up their time. He comes and teaches why finance is important in all of our roles in business. We have Jack Gibbons from Front Burner Society. And then we've got a panel of our lead volunteers that talks about, they're talking about showing up. How do you show up right now? And then we kind of close it off with this amazing gentleman, Matt Rolfe, that does public speaking for a lot of organizations, and drives public speaking with development. Like, how do you actually develop yourself, and writing a great development plan for you? So we do those 3-4 times a year. It's all volunteer work. And, listen, most of it is really to help others in the industry understand. We're trying to bring the sexy back. I think COVID, we're the largest organization in the country other than, the government, and so we employ the most, and so a lot of folks were leaving our industry because we laid the most people off, we had to, and now we're trying to make sure that people understand they can go from being a dishwasher to being a Jack Gibbons or an Emily Williams Knight or a Greg Majewski, as some of them were, like, Jack was a hourly and then moved into a CEO role. So having people understand that it is possible, and, you gotta get mentors along the way. You have to have ambassadors, and you have to have advocates, and all 3 are important. And people need to say great things about you when you're not in the room to get a raise and a promotion, like, all these things we kinda teach back into the and put back into the field. So and then they get a bigger network because we don't just stop after those events. We continue to get them a mentor if they want one, and more content that comes out from the organization. So we started in 2019. We've had a lot of folks run through the program, and we get nothing but really great reviews. And of course, anything that we need to get feedback on, we adjust. But it's a once in a lifetime kind of career thing that you can attend. A lot of these folks have never been to a conference, so we kind of want to give them that feel and experience. And we don't charge anything. Sometimes we'll charge them $40 if they can't afford it. They come for free because it's sponsored by some of the Sizzle and Spin donations. But it's a nonprofit that we're all trying to make an impact in the bigger world here.
Love, 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 love that. I think so many of us get to go to these incredible conferences and events that do have some workshops and panels, and I learned so much in those rooms that I can apply, and I always come back so fired up. So what I'm getting is that this is, the same for all, where you can support education. If listeners want to be able to be privy to where they can join or be a part, we'll throw that in the show notes, and I'll get with you after the show on that information. But thank you. That is so cool. I love that you guys do that. I did see the Sizzle and Spin at NRA. I didn't go this year, but
Next year, we'll save you a bike.
I just thought it was so unique and just so fun. So fun. So that's awesome. Any surprising outcome from empowering a staff member with a decision-making voice? I mean, any stories that you can share that kind of demonstrate the value of this group and what it can do for people unexpectedly?
Yeah, I mean, some of them that come to lead, I end up mentoring personally, and I had a general manager. He was a AGM at the time. He was a manager at the time, actually, and then recently a general manager. This is just one of many stories, and teaching him the P&L and having him listen to earnings calls. It's a little bit outside the box, but getting that vernacular down. And he just took a job with another organization in supply chain, but so confident he could do that because of all the stuff that he had learned along the way on running a business. And so I think he's going to do extremely well. I'm one of his biggest fans. We have folks that were probably going to leave the industry, and they come and then they realize, like, okay, this could be my career, and there's no plan. Why am I running away? Let's stick this out instead of running to something else, because sometimes people run away and they're not running to, right? So there's been a lot of different situations. We have a CAP program at Gleam too, where you go for 9 weeks and you learn from a woman who has multi-masters in education, and so they're just taking classes on leadership. So it's multifunctional. But some of these stories, the teams that have attended will come and tell their stories at the events, and it's just pretty wild to see where they were 5 years ago to where they are now. And they talk about the impact they make on people, not just the P&L, which I think is the most important for me to hear. So yeah, it's a great question, but gosh, there's a laundry list. I mean, Daniel Navarro for sure. Shout out to him. He's come so far. Super proud of him.
Outstanding. How about as we wrap up, I wanted to know you a little bit personally, talk about what you do for fun outside of all this incredible work. If you had a Saturday, you could spend it any way. What are you doing?
I'm probably checking out another restaurant and wining and dining somewhere, or I'm reading a good Dolly Parton book. So I got a lot of Dolly memes. And then she announced she was coming out to a residency in Vegas yesterday. I think I got it something like
Oh,
2030.
fun.
I am my whole office is Dolly Parton. I think she's a role model for everyone. If I could do anything at all, it would be having wine with Dolly. Dolly has her own wine now, or coffee or something with her. But I'm a wine dine, check out other concepts. Your mind's always wondering like how could we do things differently if we needed to. But at the end of the day, my dream day would be to hang out with Dolly at some point and meet her. But hasn't happened yet. I have a place in Nashville now that she's opening a new hotel right across the street. So somebody said, "Are you going to go get a job there until you meet her?" And that might be a possibility. I'll have to let Adam know that.
Like, you're doing that. Oh.
It needs to happen. It needs to happen. We got to figure that out. But yeah, big Dolly Parton fan.
All right. And then going back to how you were raised, I always like to ask this question because I think that the answers are so interesting. But what is something that you learned early on in your life that has become extremely relevant for what you're doing today?
No excuses. Can't have excuses for anything. I had a wild childhood. Um, Not really high end, and didn't grow up in, and I don't think anybody really has anymore, to be honest, but no parents kind of situation. Adopted out at like in my 30s. Just kind of crazy road. And the reason why I ended up in the restaurant industry is I went to get a job in a mall. This woman that was trying to have me sleep on her couch gave me 2 quarters. Yes, payphones. And she said, if you're going to live with me, you have to get a job. And, I was going through stuff. I was probably like 100 pounds and ended up begging this guy, Don Artisinger at Houlihan's in the St. Louis Galleria, to give me a job. And he gave me a job. And then I was a learner and sucked in and soaked in and asked annoying questions up until today. If somebody does something and I don't know how to do it, I'll go learn it and then I'll teach it back and then I'll move on to learn something else. But yeah, I don't think there's excuses, and I think you have to be resilient and don't get your head stuck into a place that's not productive. We've all made mistakes, but you got to move on and you can't let it take your energy. So I do apologize if I goof up, but I'm not gonna soak in it. And try not to do it again. And if I do it again, then it's okay to slap me. But resiliency, being a learner and having an open mind and also assuming positive intent is a big one that I think a lot of people need to learn these days.
How about to close one of your proudest moments? You've won a lot of awards. You're a part of a lot of boards. You're a mom. What would you say, looking back, has been your proudest moment so far?
Any time I've been able to impact any of them, from the kids to the husband to the friends to giving back. I mean, I don't think there's a moment. I think it's just the journey and making sure you're going to bed every night saying I did something for somebody else today. Is kind of where my head lies. And there's times where I walked out of a restaurant on a visit and I did a U-turn thinking, I don't think I impacted that restaurant. I need to go back in there. And then you go back in, and sometimes that's just the story of life. Of you can take a day off here and there, but whether you're at I watched a guy last night on I don't know, TikTok, Instagram, something, and he was walking up to people asking them if they would buy something in the grocery store, and they would say no a lot of times. And then he'd find somebody that did. He did find a woman that said no. And finally he said, I'm buying your groceries. And so my husband and I pick a couple times a year where somebody's sitting across a restaurant or they're young girls like our daughter's age, and we'll pick up the tab and not say anything. And we don't want anything for it. We just want somebody to have a really good bucket filling day. And some people, I think, forgot that the power of kindness, gosh, you can, if that was around more, we would not be where we're at with this crazy situation we're even in the Middle East. So we don't need to get into all that, but it's everyday impact of kindness.
Amy, you've been great. I want to make sure the listeners can have a chance to connect with you. Where's a good place to get a hold of you?
Yeah, LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, I think we all are. Well, I shouldn't say that. The younger generation's not signed up yet. Trying to get my daughter in there. LinkedIn. I'm still on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm not too active. I still need to learn that tool a little bit better. But yeah, I'm pretty active on LinkedIn, or just email aham@barcelonawinebar.com. And I'll gladly email back if I can help anyone at all.
Thank you so much, listeners. If you learned something today, please feel free to share this podcast with a friend or coworker. Thank you so much, Amy.
Thank you.
This has been another exciting episode of Grounded. See you next time. That's a wrap on this episode of Grounded. We've covered a lot of ground as we explored what it really takes to run food service behind the scenes. For show notes, highlights, and our latest market insights, visit us at groundedonthepod.com. Grounded is powered by the Buyer's Edge platform, delivering smarter solutions, greater efficiency, and real savings through connected tech, powerful data, and industry expertise. For more information and to get a personal demo of the Buyer's Edge platform, email me at lauren.mitchell@producealliance.com. And if you liked what you heard, subscribe so you don't miss an episode.